You ever have one of those moments where the universe just leans in, slaps you across the face, and whispers, "Pay attention"? That was me, standing at the window of our kitchen on a Thursday morning, sipping black coffee that tasted like burnt betrayal. The house was too quiet. My wife, Claire, had left for Paris the day before on what she called a solo reset trip. Said she needed to find herself. Spoiler, she didn't get lost in Paris, she got found by someone else. Now, before you think I'm the kind of guy who'd get suspicious because my wife wants a little time to herself, let me paint the picture. Claire wasn't some flighty influencer or Instagram philosopher with a yoga mat and a passport. She was a planner, a spreadsheet warrior, a woman who made packing lists for our weekend grocery runs. So when she bought a first-class ticket to Charles de Gaulle with no return date in sight, I got curious. She kissed me goodbye at 4:45 a.m., hair perfectly undone in that effortless, "I'm better than sleep" way. "Don't wait up," she said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I watched her Uber disappear down the block, that little pit of worry starting to churn, but I shook it off. That afternoon, I noticed the suitcase she was supposed to bring was still in the hallway closet. Not a duffel. The suitcase. The one she only used for international trips. I opened it. Full. Unmoved. Not even a sock out of place. My first thought? Maybe she took a smaller bag. Or maybe I was losing my mind. Or maybe she didn't go anywhere at all. I called the airline. "Hi, my wife was supposed to be on flight 1763 to Paris this morning. Can you confirm she boarded?" After some awkward typing, the agent said, "Sir, the reservation was never checked in. In fact, the ticket was refunded last night." I froze. Refunded. Now, here's the thing. I don't panic easy. I don't do drama. But in that moment, I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt played. She lied. Right to my face, with the kind of calm only years of practice can perfect. I went to our shared calendar, found the hotel she said she'd be staying at, canceled the reservation the day before. I clicked into our shared cloud folder where she always dumped travel itineraries, wiped clean. No backup. No trace. That's when I realized something wasn't adding up. Not just the math, but the gut-deep numbers that never lie. She told me she was going to Paris, but Paris never even got a postcard from Claire. And me? I was about to buy myself a ticket. So here I was, sitting in a dark room lit only by the icy glow of my laptop screen, refreshing flight records like I was solving a murder, and maybe I was, if you count trust as the victim. I traced every breadcrumb she'd left, starting with her Uber receipt. She'd gone to the airport, all right, but only for 27 minutes. Not even long enough to get through TSA, let alone security theater and a boarding gate. After that, no return ride, no lift, nothing. Just silence. Her phone? Off. Not dead, deliberately off. And that's when my patience officially packed a bag and checked out. I needed answers, and I wasn't going to find them in our quiet little suburban home, where the only thing more dead than the houseplants was my marriage. I started digging. I checked our credit card statement. She hadn't made any airport purchases. But the day before her flight, she bought a bottle of wine from a specialty shop downtown. The same one where she and I used to pick up overpriced Merlot when we were still pretending Tuesday night dinners were romantic. Then came the kicker. A charge from a boutique hotel, not in Paris, but right here, in the city, 10 miles from our house. Booked for 2 nights. 1 king bed. 2 guests. I felt it then. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Just that numb, hollow realization that the woman I'd built a life with had staged an international fairy tale just to disappear 10 miles away with someone else. So I drove. No hesitation. No overthinking. Just me and the wheel, and a playlist that somehow only played songs about liars, cheaters, and people who now lived in motels. The hotel was as pretentious as it sounded. Faux European charm, crystal chandeliers, and a valet who looked like he moonlighted as a philosophy major. I didn't check in. I didn't need to. I just waited. And at 8:14 p.m., Claire walked out. Not in jet-lagged sweats. Not in tourist gear. No, she wore a red dress I hadn't seen in years. The kind that made strangers stare and husbands remember. On her arm was a man. Tall, smug, overgroomed. The human equivalent of a luxury cologne ad. They laughed. She kissed him. Then they walked past me. Didn't even notice. Because she thought I was still home. Waiting. I didn't follow them. I didn't confront her. Not yet. See, this wasn't a moment for yelling or drama. This was a moment for clarity. And my next move? Let's just say it involved a suitcase, a boarding pass, and a certain European capital. Because the next time Claire thought of Paris, I wanted her to remember me. Smiling. And alone. I landed in Paris 9 hours and 27 minutes after I decided to stop being the man she left and become the man she would regret ever crossing. Jet lag? Non-existent. My veins ran on adrenaline and espresso, the kind you sip slowly while staring out the window of a cafe you didn't tell anyone you were going to. Paris wasn't the point. It was the punctuation. The full stop at the end of her fairy tale. Let me rewind for a second, because this is where the truth punched me in the mouth, no warning. The night after I saw Claire kiss her boutique hotel Romeo, she came home. I was already packed. She didn't even flinch walking through the door. No guilt. No apologies. Just a yawn. And the kind of fake stretch people do in sitcoms when they've clearly slept too well. How was the flight? I asked. She blinked, caught off guard for maybe a half second, then grinned. Oh, long. Yeah, real long. All 0 miles of it. I nodded. Cool. Did you like the Eiffel Tower? Her smile faltered. Just a flicker. The kind of micro-expression that would have gone unnoticed if I hadn't spent the last 24 hours becoming a private investigator with an unpaid psychology degree. Didn't get to it yet, she said, hanging her coat. Too tired the first day. Right. Too tired. From walking the long and perilous hallway between room 208 and room 210. I didn't say anything else. Just kissed her on the cheek, walked past her, and booked my ticket while brushing my teeth. She had no idea. No idea I knew. No idea I'd be taking a real trip to Paris, the one she faked with Google Images and lies. So here I was. Alone. Smiling. Standing on the Pont Alexander III bridge while she posted filtered photos from last year's vacation, pretending she was soaking in the culture. I was soaking in something too, truth. And it tasted like black coffee and the kind of quiet rage that doesn't yell. It plans. That's when I called her. Phone rang once. Twice. She answered. Hey babe, she said. I was just thinking about you. Oh yeah. I replied, steady as stone. Where are you right now? Pause. Montmartre. Little cafe. It's beautiful. I smiled and turned slowly to show the Eiffel Tower behind me. Funny. I don't see you. Silence. A kind of silence that doesn't happen naturally. The kind that screams. You're in Paris, she said finally, like I'd materialized inside her lie like a ghost with frequent flyer miles. I am, I said, soft, measured. Just thought I'd join my wife on her little solo journey. See what I've been missing. You. Logan. I hung up. She would call back. Of course she would. But I wouldn't answer. Because Paris wasn't for her anymore. It was for the man she underestimated and the plan he was about to set in motion. By the time Claire called for the 5th time, I was halfway through a croissant and my second café creme, legs crossed at a tiny table outside a corner bistro in Le Marais. The phone vibrated like it owed me something, but I didn't even glance at it. I just watched Paris walk by, lovers holding hands, artists sketching tourists for 20 euros a pop, waiters balancing trays like ballerinas. It was poetic, really. My wife faked a vacation here to sneak around behind my back. And I showed up for real as a ghost at the feast. Now, I could have kicked the drama into high gear. Kicked down the door of her boutique hotel back home. Slammed a photo on the table and shouted, explain this, Claire. But what would that accomplish? A teary monologue? A half-baked excuse about how it just happened? Nah, I wasn't interested in confrontation. I was interested in control. And you don't get control by raising your voice. You get it by lowering it, until the other person leans in and realizes they've lost you. So I finished my coffee, tossed a few euros on the table, and took a long walk through a city that didn't know me, but somehow understood me. That evening, I checked into a modest hotel near the 6th arrondissement. Nothing fancy, just clean sheets and silence. I booked it under a different name, something I learned from an old coworker who divorced a lawyer and came out swinging. Claire kept calling. Every time, I let it ring. Every time, I imagined her pacing. Because at that point, she didn't know where I was, how I'd gotten there, or worse, what I knew. See, that's the real art of revenge. Not the yelling. Not the slamming of doors or burning of clothes. No. The real power is making someone doubt everything they've built their lie on. And the longer I stayed quiet, the louder the truth rang in her ears. 3 days passed. I walked the Seine, visited bookstores, ate too much bread, slept like a man who finally stopped carrying dead weight. On the 4th day, I posted a photo. Not of me, I'm not that obvious. Just the view from my hotel window, A soft pink sunrise brushing over Parisian rooftops. The caption? Peace isn't a place. It's the absence of pretending. No tags. No location. Just enough breadcrumbs for a clever woman to know she'd been found and outdone. Within minutes, the text came through. Claire, you're in Paris? I thought you said you had meetings this week. What the hell is going on? I ignored it. 5 minutes later. Claire, are you spying on me? Is this some kind of test? Logan, talk to me. Now, let's pause and admire the irony. She faked a romantic European getaway to cheat, and now she was accusing me of betrayal for being here for real. Classic projection. The cheater's final move. Cry, unfair, the moment the tables turn. That night, I finally answered. She called, her voice ragged with panic. Logan, where are you? What are you doing? I sipped my drink. Enjoying Paris. You lied to me, she hissed. Like you lied to the airport? Or the boutique hotel 10 miles from our house? I said calmly. Because if we're keeping score, I'm still behind. Silence. Then a weak, trembling sigh. I was going to tell you. I just didn't know how. You did know how, I replied. You just chose not to. Big difference. You've been spying on me. You tracked me. No, Claire. I paid attention. For once. After a year of pretending, I didn't notice the lipstick that wasn't for me. The late nights. The sudden Paris fantasy that required no passport stamp. I connected dots. You just gave me too many. She paused. What are you going to do? There it was. Not, I'm sorry. Not, can we talk? Not even a crumb of remorse. Just fear. And I let it sit. I'm going to live, Claire, I said, in a city you pretended to visit. While you sit at home, wondering if the man you betrayed is building a new life or a new strategy. You can't just ghost me. We're married. Were we? I said, and it hung in the air like a guillotine. Now, you might think that's where it ends. But no. See, Claire had built her lie on fantasy, and I was about to turn fantasy into fallout. Before I left Paris, I did one thing. I walked into a lawyer's office tucked on a quiet street near the Jardin du Luxembourg. American expat, fluent in international divorce and digital forensics. I handed him a flash drive. Proof, I said. Text messages. Photos. Hotel receipts. Time-stamped and backed up. He nodded, impressed. You're either very prepared or very hurt. I shrugged. Both. He smiled. She won't see this coming. That's the point. By the time I boarded my flight home, Claire had messaged me 12 times and called 17. The last one was just a voice message. I made a mistake. Please, just come home. We can talk. I never wanted to hurt you. You were just slipping away. I didn't know how to feel close to you anymore. But I didn't mean to lose you. Please, come back. I listened to it once. Then I deleted it. Because I was done being the man who got left behind. Claire wanted Paris. Now she had to live in the ruins of it. Alone. And me? I had miles to go and nothing left to lose. Coming back home didn't feel like returning. It felt like surveillance, like I was moving through the wreckage of a life that used to be mine. The doormat still said, welcome, but let's be honest, that thing had been lying for months. I walked through the front door of our house, her house now, really, and paused in the entryway like a guest at an open house. It looked the same, smelled the same, but everything felt plastic. Like I was walking through a showroom staged by betrayal. Claire wasn't home. Good. I needed time. The first stop was the office. Bottom drawer, right side, exactly where I used to keep the emergency whiskey and the folder labeled for when it all goes to hell. I pulled out the second one. Inside, every receipt, message, timestamp, and photo from my quiet little investigation. Every whisper she thought I didn't hear. Every smile she aimed at someone else. Packaged neat, alphabetized, digital and print, because pain deserves presentation. I slid the folder into a leather briefcase, then headed to the bedroom. I didn't pack my things, I wasn't staying. I was just here to leave something behind. I opened her closet, found the shelf where she kept her designer bags, the ones she said were investments. Oh, the irony. I picked her favorite one, the red Saint Laurent she only pulled out for special nights, and tucked a single envelope inside. The letter was handwritten. Not out of romance, out of impact. Claire. By the time you read this, you'll know what I know. I saw everything. I heard everything. You didn't just lie. You rehearsed it. You didn't just cheat. You planned it. And you didn't just break us. You erased me from a story I helped write. But here's the part you didn't count on. You forgot who I am when I stopped caring. And now I'm not your husband. I'm your consequence. Enjoy the house. You'll need to, because the rest is about to get very uncomfortable. L. No threats. No drama. Just facts, delivered in cursive. On my way out, I stopped at the front door and looked around one last time. The pictures on the wall. The couch where we watched shows we both pretended to enjoy. The little den in the kitchen cabinet where I hit my head trying to fix the plumbing she said I should have called someone for. It was all hers now. She won the house. But she lost the man who could fix anything. That afternoon, I met with two people, my lawyer and my accountant. Now, I'm not the vindictive type by default. But there's a special kind of clarity that comes when the person you trusted most treats your life like a disposable backdrop. You stop thinking emotionally. You start thinking efficiently. The lawyer was first. She wore glasses that made her look like she could slice you in half with a semicolon. You want to go aggressive or surgical? She asked, after skimming the evidence. I didn't hesitate. Surgical. I don't want drama. I want results. She smiled like a surgeon about to crack her knuckles. Then we'll start with asset tracing and discretionary spending. I assume the affair had a financial footprint. I slid the receipts across the table. Hotels. Gifts. A couple of transfers to an account that doesn't have my name on it. Perfect, she said. That counts as marital fraud. We'll freeze assets before she even realizes you've lawyered up. Next was the accountant. He wasn't flashy. Just quiet, bald, and capable, like a guy who could make your net worth disappear with a spreadsheet and a grin. We reviewed everything. Joint accounts, retirement funds, tax records. He flagged a few patterns that Claire must have thought were slick. She opened a new credit card in her name last month, he said. Unusual timing, considering she used your name for everything until then. I nodded. She was preparing for something. A new chapter, maybe. Let's make it a short one, he said, already typing. By the time I walked out of that building, my plan was in motion. Claire wouldn't lose everything, but she'd lose enough to understand the cost of her choices. Not out of cruelty, out of justice. That night, I stayed at a hotel across town. Slept like a stone. In the morning, I woke to a flurry of messages. Missed calls. One voicemail. It was Claire. Logan. I found the letter. I don't even know where to start. You blindsided me. I didn't think you'd actually leave. You're really doing this? Is this what you want? There it was. The truth in her voice. Not regret. Not sorrow. Shock. She thought I'd chase. She thought I'd yell. She thought I'd fall apart so she could feel strong. But I was calm. Still. Cold. And she didn't know what to do with that. That afternoon, her lawyer called mine. The call didn't go well. By sunset, I received confirmation. Claire's assets were temporarily frozen. Her secret account flagged. My name cleared from 3 loans she opened jointly without my consent. It was all happening. And I didn't lift a finger in anger. Just one in precision. Now, here's the part that matters. I didn't do this to punish her. I did it to remind her. That trust isn't something you shatter and sweep under the rug. It's a currency. And she defaulted. I went to Paris for peace. But now? Now I was back to collect. Claire always had a flair for theatrics, so I wasn't surprised when she suggested we talk over dinner. Like this was a misunderstanding. Like she'd misplaced her loyalty somewhere between a wine glass and someone else's pillow. She texted me that morning. Let's meet tonight. Just us. One dinner. We owe each other that. No, Claire. What you owe me is 26 months of honesty, 6 weekends you lied about being at your sister's, and a bottle of cologne I still haven't worn because it makes me sick now. But sure. One dinner. I picked the place. A quiet Italian spot tucked into a side street downtown. Dim lighting. Cloth napkins. Not the kind of place where you air dirty laundry, which is exactly why I chose it. The silence would force her to fill the space. When I arrived, the hostess raised an eyebrow. You're the first one here, she said, leading me to a small table by the window. That's what Claire wanted, a stage. Fine. I gave her one. 10 minutes passed. 15. At 20, the waiter came by to ask if I wanted to order or wait. I just smiled and said, give her 5 more. She always liked making an entrance. At 26 minutes past the hour, poetic. Really, she walked in. Red dress. Not the same one from the hotel rendezvous, but close enough to make a point. She still thought this was about seduction. A last-minute Hail Mary where she flashes a little leg, and I forget the last 12 months of betrayal. She sat down like nothing had happened. Like this was just a check-in between adults. Logan, she said softly. You look tired. I sipped my water. I'm not tired. I'm finished. There's a difference. Her smile faltered for a beat, then returned, brittle and defensive. I didn't expect you to be so cold. You spent a year warming someone else's bed, I said, folding my napkin. I figured I'd balance the temperature. She sighed, the way people do when they've written the script in their head and the other actor keeps improvising. I just wanted to explain. No, I cut in. You wanted to justify. If you wanted to explain, you would have done it before the hotel receipts and text messages. Not after. The waiter appeared. Thank God. And she ordered something light. I ordered nothing. Not because I wasn't hungry, but because I refused to chew through a single bite of manipulation. She leaned in. I didn't mean for it to go as far as it did. That's the hallmark of a cheater, pretending their feet just slipped into someone else's bed like it was a pothole on the freeway. How far did you mean for it to go, Claire? Just a kiss? A text? A weekend getaway disguised as a flight to Paris? She looked away, blinking hard. You weren't present anymore. Present? I said, incredulous. I was in the marriage. Paying bills. Making plans. Asking you what was wrong while you told me everything was fine with that dead smile you wore like makeup. You stopped noticing me. No, I said, my voice quiet but firm. I stopped chasing someone who was already running. Silence stretched between us like old wallpaper. Peeling, faded, impossible to ignore. She tried again. I just felt invisible. Invisible people don't leave perfume on someone else's collar. That was the moment she knew she'd lost the room. And by room, I mean me. Whatever script she'd memorized, it was useless now. So she switched tactics. Like clockwork. I read the letter, she said. The one you left in my bag. I didn't respond. It scared me. Good, I said. She narrowed her eyes. Do you want revenge? Is that what this is? I leaned back in my chair. No, Claire. Revenge is loud. Messy. Temporary. I'm not interested in breaking your windows. I'm interested in making sure you sit in a house full of everything you thought you wanted and realize none of it is real. Her fork hovered midair. I want you to feel what I felt, I continued. Every morning I woke up next to someone who had already left me. Every time I kissed a stranger I used to love. Every time I smiled in public so no one would ask questions. She didn't speak. She couldn't. Not with a mouth full of lies and nowhere to spit. I pulled out an envelope, the one with the updated divorce papers, and slid it across the table like a peace offering. Or a grenade. I signed my side, I said. The terms are fair. More than fair. She picked it up slowly, like it might bite. You're not even going to fight for the house. No, I said. It already feels like a tomb. Keep it. Decorate it. Sit in the kitchen and remember what it felt like to be loved by someone who thought forever meant something. I stood up, my chair scraping softly against the hardwood. I hope he was worth it. Logan. I didn't look back. I'd already seen enough. As I walked out, I passed couples clinking glasses. Smiling. Reaching across tables to hold hands. It used to sting, seeing that. Not anymore. Because now I knew the truth. Love isn't about promises. It's about follow-through. And Claire? She broke the promise. But I delivered the consequence. 2 weeks after that dinner, I became a ghost. Not the spooky, bedsheet kind. The kind you can't touch. Only notice once they've already left the room. I didn't post. I didn't respond. I didn't acknowledge Claire's frantic emails, her lukewarm apologies, or her sudden epiphany about what we had. Because here's the thing. Once you've been lied to so convincingly, you don't just stop trusting them. You stop trusting yourself. Every memory becomes suspect. Every smile, every "I love you" starts playing in your head like an old voicemail you're pretty sure was never meant for you. I needed to go quiet. Not to hide, but to rebuild. I stayed in a short-term rental. Nothing fancy. 4 walls and no ghosts. Spent most nights sitting by the window, watching streetlights flicker and strangers walk by. Sometimes I wondered how many of them were living someone else's lie. During the day, I worked. Harder than I ever had. I closed deals. Lifted weights. Cleaned out my life the way some people clean their garage after a death in the family. And through it all, I never looked back. But Claire did. Oh, she looked back constantly. She sent texts like breadcrumbs. You always knew me better than anyone. He doesn't feel like home. I made a mistake. I didn't reply. Because when someone shows you who they are, the only mistake is asking them to prove it twice. She wanted me to crawl back into the narrative. I chose to be the author instead. Claire's boyfriend. Let's call him Mark. because of course his name was Mark, eventually realized he'd bought a counterfeit future. The novelty wore off. Real life crept in. The wine stopped pouring, and the sex stopped feeling like a secret worth keeping. And Claire? She was left with exactly what she asked for, a new beginning, with none of the stability she thought she'd carry over from me. I heard, through a mutual friend, of course, that they broke up. Loudly. Publicly. Something about him texting an ex, something about trust. Oh, the irony. The friend asked if I wanted to hear the details. I didn't, because I'd stopped building shrines to people who lit matches behind my back. Instead, I did something better. I deleted every photo of us. Every memory backed up in the cloud, every video, every anniversary dinner selfie. Gone. Not with hate. With intention. Because if love was a book, I had reached the final page. And it wasn't a tearjerker. It was a warning label. You might think this story ends with me finding someone new. Some poetic justice with a better woman and a beach wedding and a perfect little wrap-up. But life doesn't always do symmetry. Sometimes it gives you silence. And silence, I've learned, is a kindness. One day, Claire sent a final message. If I could take it all back, I would. That's when I realized something powerful. I wouldn't. Because taking it back would mean unlearning everything I gained. The clarity, the self-respect, the ability to sit with myself in total stillness and feel peace instead of pain. Forgiveness? I gave it to myself first. Claire could keep waiting for hers. She called once more after that. I let it ring. She was calling a version of me that didn't exist anymore. 6 months later, I took another trip to Paris. This time, it wasn't to confront a lie. It was to celebrate the truth. I stood on the same bridge where I had called Claire all those months ago. Same city, same sky, different man. I watched couples pass by, laughing, taking photos. Some of them were pretending. I could see it in their eyes. But some were real. I didn't envy either, because I didn't need someone holding my hand anymore to feel whole. I smiled. Not the bitter kind. Not the I told you so kind. The kind of smile that comes from surviving something you thought would break you. And building a life so solid, it makes the betrayal look like a speed bump in the rearview. That's the thing about heartbreak. It doesn't kill you. It refines you. Claire took my trust, my time, my years. But I took something back. Myself. And in the end, that was the cruelest revenge of all.